Welcome to today's episode of the Simply Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. Want to increase your financial IQ with today's discussion? Let me say at the top that this episode pairs very well with a recent one I did that was titled Breaking the Cycle of Living Paycheck to Paycheck. Today's discussion centers around the reality that in the U.S., the savings rate sucks. So let me explain why I suggest and have the opinion that it sucks. The savings rate, according to the St. Louis Fed, in January 2023 was 4.7%. That is a really lousy number. And when you look at the long-term savings rate trend in the U.S., we are bouncing around the bottom of the very long-term trend. To give you another reference point, in December 2019, right before the pandemic sort of changed everything, the savings rate was 8.3%. So it's been cut almost in half. Of course, I'll also point out from just a historical anomaly that in April 2020, the savings rate soared to 33.8%. Of course, you get that kind of savings rate when the whole economy sort of shuts down and you can't leave your house. I don't think that's healthy, but the 4.7 number is pretty unimpressive. It will probably stay under pressure to maintain this low rate, given what we're dealing with in terms of inflation, the risk of a weakening job market, and the risk of a potential recession. For purposes of speaking with clients and even how I look at my own wealth building and financial security, is I'm going to broadly define savings as money that is allocated to building wealth, which would fall into two categories: either money that you're going to save and invest, like put it in a bank account to build up your emergency fund, or put in a retirement account through work to increase your nest egg. Or the other category would be to reduce debt, pay down student loans, car loans, that type of thing. So in terms of the savings rate, if you want to increase your savings rate, there's really only two levers to pull. You could cut expenses or you could increase income. There are others, of course. You might get an inheritance. You might get some type of lawsuit or legal settlement. The government may go back to doing stimulus checks like they did before. But broadly speaking, we have two levers: cut expenses, increase income. So let's talk a little bit about cut expenses. And I know for a lot of people, this could be, you might have the knee-jerk reaction that this is pretty terrible. It doesn't have to be. I think I would advocate for you to have a budget, track spending, so you know where your money goes. I think that is a generally good financial planning, money best practice. And then, as you might expect, and this might be the part that people really dislike, is looking for places to reduce spending. As I said in the episode about living paycheck to paycheck, I find that far too many Americans overbuy cars. They have too much car given their wealth and their income. Americans love their car. I could respect that. I like my car too. I think a lot of people overdo it. That is one place to perhaps look to reduce expenses. Eating out, that's another favorite of Americans. Mine too. I love to eat out. It could be low-end bar and grill kind of burger, fries, and a beer, or a five-star restaurant. I love it all. But you can save money by reducing the amount of times you eat out. Especially I found if you are at work and you have to eat to go grab a sandwich during work, oftentimes you're doing it not because you really are loving the experience, but more just to fill your belly, and to spend money in that instance might not be the best use. So planning out, bringing lunch to work might be a good, easy way to reduce spending without upsetting the balance between enjoying your life and trying to increase your financial security. I think in today's world where we have so many subscriptions, streaming subscriptions and the like, you could look for opportunities to cut back on subscriptions. You might be spending money on something every month that you're not really using any longer, and you might be able to cut that out. Are any of these all by themselves going to greatly alter your financial situation? No, especially not in the short term, but they can help. And if you string together enough good decisions consistently over time, you could increase your financial security and build wealth. And that's what the goal is. There's an adage which is as true today as it's always been, that you want to live beneath your means. That means you need to be spending money spending less money than you make. Live beneath your means is the goal. I know people love to spend. I love to spend too, as I've already stated, but financial security is imperative. You want to achieve financial security. If you're not there yet, that is what you want to strive to do. If you have financial security, you want to improve it. And when you begin to improve it, when you get there, that then allows for much freer spending and also maintaining a level of peacefulness with your money. In terms of cutting expenses, another thing that I do and I love to do is discount programs. Everybody likes a deal. I mentioned that I like to eat out. You, if you're listening, probably like to eat out too. My wife and I, often when we go out, we'll take advantage of coupons and discounts. Love happy hour, where you get discount on drinks usually, and maybe some food options. We love to get coupons. There are sites like localflavor.com, restaurant.com, Groupon, where you could get discount to restaurants. And we actually find it very appealing, where we'll find a restaurant, often one that we're not familiar with, one we haven't been to, and we'll get the coupon and we'll go on a little adventure and check the place out. We find that fun. It's a little bit of an adventure, and it scratches my itch on being responsible money-wise. So that's an example, and you could broaden that out to lots of other products and services where you can get discounts. Coupons at your local grocery store is another example. So there's lots of opportunity to look for discounts. I use the restaurant example because it's one that I have used for a very long time, and I find it to have a fun element too. So that's a little bit of a discussion about cutting expenses. Let's talk about the income side. The Pew Research Center found that individuals that changed jobs between 2021 and 2022, 60% of them changed jobs and also increased their income. So I mentioned the two levers that you could pull: cut expenses, increase income. Sometimes it makes sense to change a job to increase your income. Unfortunately, today, in too many instances, you could get a better deal by going across the street than you can by staying with your employer. It puzzles me why employers let good employees walk across the street for a few dollars, but it happens all the time. Actually, a good friend of mine, their son, who I've known since he was, 8 years old, something like that, recently had an experience where he wanted to stay where he was. They didn't want to increase his income, but he put his resume out there, did some networking, secured a job, doing a job that's very similar to what he was doing before, and he got way more money. What a shame for that employer that just let a really dynamic young employee just walk across the street. They didn't even really compete for him. Makes no sense to me. Sometimes it makes sense to change jobs. If you're like me, though, I want to be loyal, and so you could ask for a raise. If you've been doing good work and you've been at a company, your skills have improved, you're part of the solution and not part of the problem at the company, you could ask for a raise. That's a way you can increase your income and still stay at the same job. In today's world, the side hustle is a very common term. So that's classically a part-time job. You could do something on the side that's a skill of yours. I have a friend, actually two friends, that teach skiing on the weekends. They love to ski, so they work at a local mountain. They make a few extra dollars, and they also do something they thoroughly enjoy. You could have a part-time job in the restaurant business, waiting tables, bartending, working in retail. You could do something more entrepreneurial, like starting a business where you either use the skills in your day job or other skills and have a business. Sometimes those side hustles, especially the entrepreneurial ones, can take on a life of their own. And someday you may leave your day job, your corporate job, and only do what was once your side hustle. But having a side hustle can increase your income. Another popular one, especially today, is driving for Uber or Lyft, where you can make some extra money, do it when you want, leave when you want, lots of flexibility. I'm not sure how much money you actually make doing that. I do have a retired client that I've known for a long time, Joe, and he drives Uber. Part of it is he likes to be social, and that fits the bill for him. And he can do it whenever he wants. And he likes to meet people, likes to drive around. So he does Uber, puts some spending money in his pocket. He doesn't necessarily need to do it for the money, but everything lines up, and it is a nice side hustle for him, although technically he's retired, so it's not a side hustle. But I think you get my point. The last thing is overtime. For those of you that are in a job where you could work extra hours and get extra pay, you could bump up the amount of time you work to bring in extra income. Again, the goal is to increase your financial security, to build wealth. In some of these instances, whether we're talking about cutting expenses or increasing income, you may not need to do that forever. It may not be a long-term thing. It may just be a chapter in your life or a season where you need to do certain things to increase your financial security, to build wealth, and maybe even just kind of get the ball rolling because perhaps you haven't accomplished what you wanted to accomplish over the recent stretch. But going back to the top of the show, I think it's a shame, like I talked about in the Paycheck to Paycheck episode, that so many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and so many Americans are not saving money. I know full well that there's some people that are dealing with something in their lives that would prevent them from not living paycheck to paycheck, and a good, valid reason why they're not saving much, if any, money. I recognize that's the case. But I also would submit to you, based on my 30 plus years of experience as a financial planner, that the vast majority of instances are not those examples. They are lifestyle decisions where people are choosing certain things in their lives that are preventing them from saving, increasing their financial security, building wealth. They take on debt. They try and keep up with the Joneses. They are FOMO, fear of missing out. They have the allure of what they see on social media. I think much of what I've talked about in these two episodes is mostly geared to the lifestyle part of the challenge in building financial security. I know a lot of people that listen to the show are not paycheck to paycheck. The people that I deal with in my practice here at Elliott Wealth Management tend to be good with money. That's why they want to hire a financial planner, a certified financial planner like me, to help them even further. But if you're listening to this, or you know someone that is struggling with money, please recommend they listen to the show. Have them go to the Elliott Wealth site. They could sign up for a complimentary consultation. We would love to speak to and help folks, even if they don't have, even if they're not great clients today. If we could do them a solid, maybe steer them in the right direction, give them some good information, maybe some motivation, we are very open to doing that, kind of giving back a little bit. So keep that in mind as you listen to this episode. And I will be back with you on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast very soon. Thank you so much for listening today.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.